Hello, folks. Welcome to Got Your Back Short Shift Edition here on this Thursday morning, the morning after opening night for the Edmonton Oilers. Well, that was an exciting one. Not an ideal start for the Oilers, but they leaned on their special teams and they found a way to win. I think we're going to be seeing that a reasonable amount this year. Anytime the Oilers don't have a great game, that special teams of theirs is going to give them a fighting chance, isn't it? It certainly did last night. And a reminder that Got Your Back Short Shifts is brought to you by Mid-City Construction Management. They're a locally owned company specializing in civil construction projects for over 40 years, from roadways to excavation, underground utilities, paving, and concrete. Mid-City Construction Management has played a huge role in the infrastructure of Edmonton and the surrounding area since 1980, and they're hiring right now. Always looking for quality people, equipment operators, grounds people, concrete workers, snow removal, full and part-time positions are available, and there is plenty of room for growth and advancement. So for a full list, go to mid-city.ca and apply. That is mid-city.ca to apply. Okay, a few elements that we're going to talk about today. The start and what happened. The turnaround and what happened. Their special teams. And Evander Kane. So let's get going with what happened off the start of the game. I think back to the way that the Oilers played in the postseason and the way they got themselves down to the Final Four. And it seemed to me at the time they learned some lessons about the intensity level required. What's required to beat the really good teams. What playoff hockey looks like. I thought it would be so good for this team to get a sense of that. Nobody expected them to start opening night with the same level of intensity that you would have in a conference final or in a Battle of Alberta. I don't think that necessarily was the expectation. I did not expect them to come out and be flat and filled with mistakes and not finishing checks, and not playing intense enough. I was pretty surprised at where their level at 5-on-5 actually started. I'm not sure where it came from. Don't know if it was nerves. There's lots of emotion in the building, a beautiful and stirring tribute to Ben Stelter and the family. I know I was shaken up in the press box. So home openers can be tough. Sometimes there's extra things that are attached, and maybe it's a little bit tough to get your head into the game in the moment. And maybe that was the case. We'll give them a bit of a pass on some of that stuff. But most concerning to me was the lack of intensity. I felt like for a team that had learned a lot of lessons about what good, tough, solid, well-rounded hockey looks like, they didn't bring any of those lessons to that game. Like Ryan McLeod, the best hockey we've seen him play in the playoffs, he was finishing checks, and his first couple shifts of the game, he had to go out of his way not to finish a few checks. That's what we saw from Ryan McLeod through a lot of last season, but not in the playoffs. So they were very far away from their best game. Let's get to the Weiss Johnson sound box and hear from them, right? Hear what they thought went wrong. And a reminder that Weiss Johnson has a couple of great promos going right now as part of their 45-year anniversary. For the next 3 months, they're going to give away for free, including installation, a new furnace or hot water tank to a community organization or a charity that is in need. So if you know of a community organization or a charity that is in need, email them info@weiss-johnson.com. That's info@weiss-johnson.com. They're also looking for the oldest furnace in Edmonton. So if you've got an absolute beast stuffed away down in that basement, send a picture to Weiss Johnson, and they're going to replace it for free as well. That is info@weiss-johnson.com. We have the jingle. We have to use the jingle if we have it. Anyways, to the Weiss Johnson soundbox. Here's Connor McDavid on the win overall and on the start.
Certainly not the start you're looking for. Too early and a bunch of penalties and down 3 halfway through the game. That's obviously not a recipe for much success. So Soup did a great job holding us in there, let us get our legs under us, and we found a way to get a win.
Leon Draisaitl.
Well, not well at first. We obviously didn't start well. So yeah, not the way you want to start a game, but we'll take the positives out of this one, and the way we battled back. We had that in our game last season, and it seems to still be there. So obviously we don't want to be in those situations over and over again, but great job staying in there and sticking with it.
They definitely stayed in there and they stuck with it. I think their goaltender has a lot to do with that. A little bit more on the start here. A couple things that I didn't love. The Darnell Nurse penalty right at the end of the period there. That Darnell Nurse can't make that play. He can't take that penalty. He's a couple hundred feet from his own net. And I get Darnell Nurse wants to show that he's bringing aggression to the game this season. And I think that's a really positive thing. So you're going to have to live with some penalties when you've got a guy that's wanting to skate fast and play physical. So it's better than a hook. But it's about timing, right? Your team's in trouble and you're down and your game is not there. So it's about making the mature play in the moment. There's a time and place to go be overly aggressive and to send a message. The player had already been hit once. He stepped in, hit him, bumped him again, whatever you want to call it. They're going to make that call. So not a great penalty there from Darnell Nurse, but he did bounce back and he did some really good things later on in the game. Okay, let's get to Dylan Holloway, right? So dominant through rookie camp, great through training camp, really good in the exhibition games that he played. The kid made a rookie mistake. It was a bad one. A backhand pass just inside your own blue line, right into the middle. Like, that's just a classic mistake that most hockey players know you absolutely cannot make. It was a bad one. He's a rookie. It's not the end of the world. It stung. Nobody felt worse about it than he did. Jay Woodcroft went right back to him, which I think was good. I think that's good messaging to send to Dylan Holloway. You don't want people playing the game absolutely terrified of making mistakes. And I think Jay Woodcroft did a good job of sending that signal. With that said, pulled him off the top six, pulled him out of the top two lines. It was something that he just needed to do. I agree with that decision. I don't have an issue with the fact that he did it. It's not like he benched him and got away from him and didn't use him for the rest of the night. I think he would have played more if there weren't so many penalties taken. I think his intention was to re-engage Holloway and get him back into that game. So by the end of the night, where'd he end up? Dylan Holloway ends up at 8 minutes and 6 seconds, -1, couple shots, 4 hits, which I like. But he did get some shifts in the second and in the third period. The coach did not remove him from that game as a result of that mistake. As we go back to the Weiss Johnson sound box, here's Jay Woodcroft on that mistake by Holloway.
I felt confident. I put that line right back on the ice. That was a young mistake. I think he was trying to make a play. A pretty good player was sitting in the weeds and picked it off and found a way to make our team pay in that situation.
Yeah, and they did. They paid. And Dylan Holloway paid a price there. That's a tough lesson learned on opening night after so much momentum. It just shows you how fleeting it can be when you're playing in the best league in the world. And so he's got to be on it. He will learn from that. It was a bad mistake. The coach stuck with him. Learning experience for Dylan Holloway. He will be better. Be interested to see where he fits into the lineup in the days to come, whether or not he gets another opportunity up there in the lineup with those guys, or if maybe Jay Woodcroft feels like it's better to start him down a little bit, limit the matchups, be a little bit more careful with it. We'll see. I don't think there's a right answer. Whatever Woodcroft feels his instinct is on where Holloway has the best chance to rebound from that. I thought he looked decent in a few of the shifts that he had. He skated hard and finished some checks, and that's good. Okay, to the turnaround. Full credit to Jack Campbell here, because I think Jack Campbell was as important to turning this thing around as the referees. And I'm talking about the missed call. The Oilers had an absolute gift. That was a double minor at a point in the game where another goal probably ices the thing. So I know Oiler fans were mad. They were frustrated in the building about the way the flow of penalties were going. I'm here to tell you, folks, I'm sorry. They deserved most of the penalties that they took last night and got an absolute gift from the referees, not ending up with a double minor in that situation. What a massive swing that was in the game. I would be pissed if I were the Vancouver Canucks. So let's be clear. They caught a break. Jack Campbell did a real good job settling in, finding his game, and not allowing that extra goal. He made some saves on the penalty kill. He made some saves 5-on-5. I thought Campbell did a really good job of sensing not a great start. He wasn't happy with himself, but then finding his game. We'll go back to the Weiss Johnson sound box, and here is Jack Campbell.
I mean, I was pretty fired up, and they got 2 quick ones, 2 goals I'd like to have back, and, just showed the resiliency in our team. They're a good team over there. It's not an easy league to come back by 2 when you're down that early, and thought we did a great job of just staying focused, had a lot.
Yeah, he made some really good saves, some tough saves too. He was steady in there. I thought he wasn't flopping all over the place. He kind of stayed within himself. I thought Jack Campbell helped get the Oilers back into that game last night. I'm going to throw some credit to Jesse Puljujarvi, another guy that was taken out of the game by the flow of penalties and how many there were. So what can you do with limited minutes, right? Well, I thought Puljujarvi played the game with some confidence last night. I thought he skated really well. Made a few mistakes with the puck early, but so what, right? He was like everybody else. He had to get into it. Once the game got going, Puljujarvi finished with 5 hits. He was as physical in that game as I can think of him being in a lot of the regular season games last year. So he went out there and recognized what his team needed, and he started finishing body checks. Ended up with 3 shots on net in 12 minutes and 59 seconds played. Overall, Puljujarvi pushed things in the right direction with limited minutes. And that's about what you can ask for a guy that you're getting on the ice as seldom as he did, not killing penalties and not getting power play time in a game like that. So kudos to Puljujarvi. It's multiple solid performances in a row from Jesse Puljujarvi. And it's a slow build here, but he's answering the bell after being pushed for his spot in the top 9 on this team. So good night from him. Okay, let's go to special teams. This is going to be a strength of the Oilers all year long. This is the way they're going to vanquish the bully. If a team wants to get into penalty trouble against the Oilers, they're going to have this arrow in their quiver all year long. Their power play is deadly. And they barely needed any power play time to strike multiple times in that game. The first one, just a real solid goal, stick-to-itiveness there. That other one, though, that set play, that was mid-late season form that they showed. Bang, bang, play, Draisaitl over to McDavid, the one-timer and in. We talked before about what sorts of wrinkles would the Oilers be able to add to make their offense look a little bit different. We're going to see little things like that. I mean, that's, Connor was asked if it was a set play or not. I'm not positive that it was, but it sure as hell looked like one. And so this group has been together for a number of years now, this core power play unit. That was a brilliant goal. Then let's go to the penalty kill. So Leon Draisaitl is generally used in the last 30 seconds or so of a penalty kill. They throw them on the ice so that they get a shift immediately when the other team's best players have just left the ice on the power play. And it's a strategy Woodcroft used a lot last year. Last night was a little bit different, though. Draisaitl was really good on the penalty kill, and he started using him as one of the regulars. And Draisaitl was really good. They don't want to have him killing a ton of penalties because it drives his minutes up and it leaves him less fresh for the 5-on-5 minutes where he can generate. It's going to be tempting, though, not to use Leon Draisaitl on the penalty kill this year. It's going to be really tempting for them to want to have him out there because he's dangerous and he creates. And as you saw on that play, just a fantastic feather pass over to Darnell Nurse. Really nice finish from Nurse. And Darnell Nurse needed that because he'd made some mistakes earlier on in the game that weren't great, but he really willed his way back into that game. Was playing physical, was playing mean, wanted the puck. A few times you saw him calling for it and really wanting it. He wanted to make a difference last night, and he certainly did with that goal, and you could tell how excited he was when he scored it. Darnell Nurse wants to contribute at both ends of the ice, and he did last night in a meaningful way. But Draisaitl on the penalty kill, let's keep an eye and see just how much time he gets. Zach Hyman as well. How good was he on the entry there on that game-winning goal? I mean, he's just like a dog on a bone. He was really, really steady and solid in that game last night. He was good on the forecheck. He disrupted. He got in people's way. He wouldn't give up on pucks. He was turning pucks over. He was good in the neutral zone at the blue line making plays. It all came together on that on that winning goal. From Connor McDavid. Full credit to Zach Hyman for winning the puck battle and winning the entry. That goal does not happen if Zach Hyman doesn't do what he ended up doing. And then the last one for me on my list here is Evander Kane. So I'll let you hear Connor McDavid. I asked him, it might seem like no big deal, but when a guy has a surefire open net sitting there and a chance to get his first goal of the year, and instead He turns, kind of passes it through a guy to get it to you for the hat trick. How does it feel when somebody does that for you? Because it might seem like no big deal and we see it all the time, but McDavid made a great point as we go back to the Weiss Johnson soundbox here. It's not a great feeling to be sitting on a goose egg. Every player can't wait to get their first goal of the year so they know, I'm going to score again this year. But Evander Kane gave that up. Here's McDavid.
Yeah, that was a nice play by Kaner. It's not fun being at zero, so it was definitely a chance for him to get off zero, and unselfish play for sure, and definitely appreciate it.
Really unselfish play by Evander Kane. I think it's great that he did that. McDavid gets the hat trick. Kane makes a play that everybody in the building goes, huh. He gave him the wink on the bench as McDavid was coming back to the bench. That's meaningful. I know it seems like a little thing in the first game of the year, but for Evander Kane to be in that headspace and to make that play, to give up that goal and let McDavid have the hat trick on a night where, they were honoring Ben Stelter. Post-game, McDavid was able to, in his interview with Scott Oake, dedicate the win to the Stelter family. Nice cherry on top. I thought it was great that Evander Kane did that, and I think it's meaningful that he's willing to make a play like that when he has yet to score his first goal. Honorable mentions. We'll give Puljujarvi the honorable mention. I already did that. I thought Ryan Murray was pretty good in this hockey game. 21 minutes and... No, where is he? Sorry, that was Draisaitl. 15 minutes and 50 seconds. Not a lot across the stats line, but I just thought he gave them some solid minutes. I thought he defended decent in his own end and made a few nice plays. So there were some real good signs from him as well. The advanced stats were not great on a number of fronts. The Kulak pairing got caved in a little bit here and there. So definitely when you look at the deeper into the numbers on this one, there was some ugliness in the first game. We won't go overboard with that, but definitely something to note moving forward. They gave up way more than they wanted to in that game. They didn't start on time, and the stats certainly reflect that. Good game from the Vancouver Canucks. I mean, overmatched in this game. We know what their blue line looks like. They definitely were in one last night against the Edmonton Oilers, and I thought they showed pretty well for themselves. Special teams-wise, it just wasn't even a contest. Their special teams got blown out of the water. But 5-on-5, I thought they hung with the Oilers pretty darn well. Okay, that'll wrap it up for this edition of Got Your Back Short Shifts, presented by Mid-City Construction Management. Thanks to our sponsors, our title sponsors over there at Mid-City Construction. A reminder, they've got those 2 contests going, giving away free installation of a new furnace or hot water tank to a community organization or a charity that's in need. And also they're looking for the oldest furnace in Edmonton. Fire them an email, info@weiss-johnson.com. That's WEISS-johnson.com. And also big thanks to Mid-City Construction Management. We'll remind you, they're looking for quality people, all different levels of qualifications. So go to mid-city.ca and click apply now. They're looking for good people over at Mid-City Construction. Okay, Oilers are going to practice today, getting set for the Battle of Alberta. We'll check in with another episode of Got Your Back with Strudwick and Terry Ryan, likely on Friday. So thanks for your downloads and your subscriptions, folks. And we'll talk to you in a couple of days. Cheers.